All right, so I want to talk about whether you should profit from your PhD. And if you don't know me, I am. All right, so I actually want to talk about whether you should profit from your PhD. This is something that you actually hear a lot, where people should be altruistic with their degree because it's sort of a cultural norm to not make that much money off of your doctoral degree, whether it's doing research and you shouldn't profit from research. All of those different things are really important to consider. And I actually want to talk about that today. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Maslach. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out. So this is kind of a little bit of a contentious issue, I think, with a lot of people in terms of that we should have unbiased science and that science shouldn't have any sort of conflict of interest. But science by its very nature has conflict of interest. We are getting paid from universities and we have to provide a certain amount of research based on those universities. So no matter how much we actually want to be not profit from that, we actually are profiting from that because we're getting paid to do research and we have to publish a certain amount of research on a regular basis. So for me, I actually think that I don't worry about whether you should profit or not. I actually think that is sometimes actually a wise thing to profit from your degree and from the research that you're actually doing. Now, how do you actually do that? You have to do it ethically, right? You have to sort of disclose all of what you're being, the sort of financial resources you're getting and all those kind of things. And, sometimes it's a little tricky in terms of what the research is saying or what you're doing, and you have to be careful about that, right? So if you're getting paid by Monsanto, for example, to do research on a certain thing, well, you have to be very careful in the fact that you're not letting that color your judgment in any sort of way. However, this allows you to do things that you couldn't do without that revenue, and we have to be very considerate of that, right? Of making sure that you can run a lab, everybody's sort of lab, or that you can actually get paid, or that you sort of live a life, that you have to sort of make sure that you do get that revenue in. That's always been for hundreds of years, right? Like when the Medicis back in Italy, when they were around, they used to pay people to do research. You used to have to get I forget what it was, like basically a sponsor to do, just kind of like scientific endeavors. And so we put that responsibility on government, but then, private enterprises, as long as you're looking and working with those that are ethical and that care about good science, then I see no problem in it. Now, the ones that are not ethical and they don't care about good science in the sense that they want you to tell the message that they want, I would stay away from those ones. That's not going to be good for you anyways. So in terms of profiting from it, now why do you actually want to profit from it? It's because you're bringing in that additional revenue. And so that additional revenue, you can use it for different things, and to do more research, for example, to expand your lab, to do other things like pay different folks to do various different tasks that would be difficult to do without it. And so you're walking a fine line in terms of, is that particular ethical? And I think a lot of people would actually, that's in the profession, would not consider it's unethical to take money for doing research as long as you're disclosing it and being open. So the key thing is transparency. I think that is absolutely the key thing, is making sure that you're transparent with the research that you're doing and you're disclosing. You should not ever feel like you have to hide anything. That is a general rule in life. If you watch this channel, anytime that you have to feel like you have to hide anything or hold back, that's not a good thing. That means that there's something else that's going on that's driving that behavior, and you have to be very careful about that. So the other thing that you have to realize is that, in this world, at a snapshot in time, there is only a certain amount of resources available. Now, I know over time you can grow those resources and there's abundance and stuff, but at the moment, there's only a certain amount of resources that you have. And if you have a little bit of extra resources that you control under your guise, that gives you more flexibility to sort of do whatever you want. And I think that's actually a good thing, as long as you have the right motives, the right intentions to do good work or to benefit society in general. Now, if you do take that money, and this is one thing that you should sort of consider, is that if you do take that money and you do profit from it, well, you know what? You can always give that money back. And in fact, that's not a bad idea sometimes, right? To give back in some sort of way, or find a different way that you can give back. So for me, this whole reciprocity project is definitely one way to give back. I'm creating a sharing economy editing platform that you can check out, and right now it's a total loss, not making any money, hardly any money, and a little bit now. Thank you so much for everybody that has participated, but it does not make that much. And so the amount of money that you give to these things, it is enormous, but I see that there's a huge need for this. And so that's another thing. Actually, that's one more thing I want to point out. If there is money that's available like that, it's usually a signal that there is a market need for that particular thing, right? So if you are in something that is pretty lucrative, that's probably a good signal that research is being valued. And that's a really good signal. And if you have that choice to say, do I want to take that or I don't want to take it, that's actually really good. Because if you're going into something else that might not have that value at this moment, it might just be a long time before people recognize that particular research that you're actually doing. And I'm not saying doing like commercially viable research or anything like that at that moment, but just thinking about things that have particular value on what you're doing. And you can choose where that income is coming from. That's a really important thing, right? So military income, I don't think I'm ever going to take military income. I just don't, I don't like the feeling of that. So any sort of grants or anything like that that's coming from the military, probably shy away from it. However, if it's NIH or if I was in Canada, like NSERC or something like that, that's going to benefit general science, for sure. I see no problem with any of that stuff. So NIH is the National Institute of Health, and in Canada, and NSERC is a National Science and Engineering Research Council. And so there's these things that you have to think about, is where you're getting the money from, what's motivating it, but also recognizing that that is a strong signal that the research that you're doing is being valued. And it's actually a good thing. So with that, give me a thumbs up, do subscribe to the YouTube channel, and be transparent. Don't let anybody push you around, and don't let anything persuade you to do things that you're not comfortable with. I think that's the important thing with this video. All right, take care. Bye.